Give it a minute or two, and
it should be automatic, correct?
it will automatically start playing, but you'll of course need to share it on your Loom pad with that
Right.
that app, whatever it's called.
Lay a tube.
Layatube, that's it.
Right.
Yeah. So I just started it, and it's
Okay.
probably going to take a minute or two to wake up, as it usually does.
I'll give it a minute before sharing.
And let me share my screen while we set this up. Oh, and I neglected, I think everyone who is here knows these links, but I'll put the links to these streams. And let me share my screen while we set this up. Oh, if you would please mute your device. Who is here knows these links.
There. Okay.
And you should see it now, Bob. I've got it on.
Yeah, no, it just came up.
Great.
It's great.
And let me
Looks
share
gorgeous.
It works. That's
Yeah, no, I love the Golden Gate Bridge logo
all right. Thank
with the
you.
drop shadow. It's wonderful.
Okay. Let me share my screen here. Oh, no, that's not the right one. It's that one. There we go. Okay. So for tonight's slideshow, as I have been doing, I did not randomize the photos. So we will have, in this case, everyone who's submitted for tonight's slideshow submitted 4 stereo photos. So when the spotlight is on you, we'll show your 4 entries, and feel free to discuss them and take as long as you'd like. Our first photo for tonight, our first batch of photos. Oleg, I'm going to put you on the spot. And we're going to start off with father and daughter at Bay Trail viewing site. And this is by Oleg.
I live nearby this. It's about a 15-minute walk. And I've never had anybody actually stop there and use the telescopes and so on. And so this is my first catch. I increased the brightness of the posters because I like color.
Did you change any of the colors?
No, just brightening.
All right. Very nice, Oleg.
I think I'd like to see it patch the Wrigley on the left side. I see the whole box in the frame.
Tor, you're kind of breaking up there.
Sorry. Everybody seems to have been breaking up, at least from my perspective. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just saying, I feel like I want to see the full box. I want to see past the edge of the railing on the left side.
You're talking about how it's kind of cropped off on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably have that material to put it in there, but I like the kind of escape on the right side for the eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to lose that load of post.
Do you, Oleg? Did you do a shadows highlight adjustment on this?
No, I usually get my shadows done by uh, I forget the name of it. Um, there's an overall the shadows and highlights are destructive.
Yeah.
But it's at the top of the available. I can't remember the name of it.
But it's something different than the Photoshop shadow highlights. Is it in
Yeah,
Photoshop?
it's yeah, I remember now. It's curves.
Curves. That's right. You've talked about using curves before.
It works real well, better than the destructive one.
Yeah, I think the curves tool goes way back in Photoshop, maybe Photoshop 1, I don't know, but that's kind of an original classic tool.
Yeah, I like curves a lot. Almost always want a kind of an S shape and just carefully adjust the amount of curve in it.
Right. Thank you,
It's a
Oleg.
little bit like
go
contrast
ahead.
too.
Can you say that again, Melinda?
It's a little bit like contrast, like brightness contrast. It does a lot of the same thing, but differently. So I use them both, sometimes together, sometimes separately. Yeah, curves is a very, very powerful tool.
Thank you, Oleg. Lee Pratt, welcome. You made it just in time. This is our first photo of tonight's slideshow. Our second photo, also by Oleg, is Mount Tamalpais and Pretender.
Yeah, that pile of sand or whatever it is. The truck that you see at the left was taking it away. 10 minutes, it was in about 10 minutes, it was gone. But I like the two mountains.
How much work did you have to do to reshape that mountain before it disappeared?
This is the way it looked.
I'm hearing multiple voices, by the way. This is Peter speaking. I hear about 4 voices talking all at once. Is that the same for everybody?
I'm not getting that on my end. Do you have a tablet or a TV that might have the volume up?
Not hearing it now, but I was hearing it.
I was too.
Maybe somebody turned off their device or muted.
There's also something weird that happens with some people, mostly Matt. I'm afraid. Not right now though, but sometimes when in Zoom, it seems like when certain people are speaking, suddenly other voices or background noises are get folded in with them. And as soon as they stop speaking, it goes away.
Yeah, we definitely have continued audio issues on Zoom. All that I can recommend is to invest in a quality microphone and headset. And I won't get into that too much right now, but it does matter how close you are to your microphone, how sensitive the microphone is, And usually, as you know, Melinda, this is a problem that you've solved. The microphones that come built into laptops or computers are usually pretty low fidelity.
I don't feel that I've solved it at all. It's still difficult for me.
Yeah. Well, we will persevere. I will share a link after the slideshow to some suggestions for microphones, headsets, that sort of thing. Fortunately for now, I don't know if there's a whole lot we can do about that.
Oh, by the way, on this picture, I forget the name of it, but there's a technical term for when you have a pile of sand for the slope that it acquires. And in this case, the slope of the Mount Tam and the pile are in the same angle.
Angle of repose.
Yeah,
posts,
that's it.
Mike
Angle of
in the
repose.
chat.
And Mount Tam did that about 10 million years ago.
Yes. And thank you, Mike, and welcome.
Thank you very much.
Oleg, this must have been a photo of opportunity for you. This certainly isn't anything you could have planned.
No, it's at the Kaiser Center, and I had an appointment there. And fortunately, it was all the parking lots were taken, so I had to go down to the very south of the parking lots, and that had a good surprise.
Well, at least you got a photo out of it.
Oh,
I like the framing that you did with the trees too. It's a nice composition.
Thank you, Oleg. We have a third one by you. Photographer surrounded by his work.
yeah, this was in Nevada. They have a yearly downtown parade. And lots of booths. I like this one because it needs 3D. If you look at it with one eye, it's hard to tell what those things are.
Oleg, is this a little bit hyper?
Yeah, it's with my 6-inch base.
Good choice.
Great shot. I'm getting one anomaly in that black and white upper left window.
Upper right too, there's reflections.
There are reflections in the surface of the photos, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting it in several of the photos.
Yeah, the only one that bothered me was
Natural.
that window. It was pretty vibrating. But great depth, color. It's gorgeous.
I didn't do any changes, so when you see some of these anomalies, they're probably reflections from the rear.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're natural. They definitely come off as natural. If you were there, it probably looked just like that. Yeah, the black and white photo is probably the most distracting. But none of it, I mean, it's a striking photograph, so I have to look at it for a while before I notice the retinal rival.
Oleg, how long will it take you to 3D convert all of the pictures in this frame?
Gee, it'll take at least a day. Do you want me to do it? Will you pay me for
No,
it?
I just thought it was something you would do. I don't know if
Just
it's
replace them with other
this would be
pictures that
excessive.
are already in 3D.
Right.
And I would
Yeah,
probably.
I
I'd be
was
back.
going to make much the same suggestion, Oleg. I would like to see you create your own stereogram with yourself in the middle like this, and a bunch of your 3D pictures all around you like this, but of course with those pictures in 3D.
Wow. Well, I had to print them first.
No, you just put the left picture in the left eye and the right picture in the right eye for each image.
Yeah, just
Oh.
do it in Photoshop.
Do a whole
Yeah.
bunch of comps.
Yeah, just do it all in Photoshop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be done.
You could use this exact composition if you want. You could put each of your pictures into one of these pictures and put yourself in the middle.
Well, if we have a special for um, what do you
Self-portrait?
call it? Yeah, self-portrait. Maybe I'll do that. Good suggestion.
That's a great creative idea. Yeah, in 2D, this one almost looks like a collage, like a Photoshop collage around this sitting figure. It's hard to get a sense of where it is until you see it in 3D, and then it makes perfect sense.
I think one of the things that makes this photo work so well is the photographer printed the photos borderless. So it does have that collage look.
Oh, good point.
I like the colors too. The blue hat and the blue all around, some reds around. That's my idea for a fourth dimension. The camera usually does not do shadows well. This is the way it looked, but the camera had it all dark on the bottom there.
Well, I don't see any artifacts of that. Very nice. Oleg, did you make it to the Solano stroll this year?
No, I forgot about it.
Ah, well, next year.
Yeah.
I think we might see some from another contributor later tonight, so sit tight. And also from Oleg is white car obeys stop signs.
Yeah, this is there's a bunch of hangars there from the airfield that they built for World War II. This is in Novato, and I take a lot of pictures there. And there are a lot of stop signs everywhere between the hangars. So I set up myself here, and I waited for the decisive moment to appear. And in about 15 minutes, that white car came to a stop.
I like the range of colors in the trees and the foliage.
That was breaking up. I didn't hear.
Yeah, try that again.
I like
Tor.
the range of colors in the foliage in the tree.
Yeah,
The rainbow there.
yeah, that's real. That's the way it was.
Yeah.
Probably all of them are red by now. This was 2 weeks ago.
Al, you've got a clear path for the eye to follow back into the distance. Oh, and I just noticed that shadow that's falling across the crosswalk between the stop signs. That's nice.
I took about 2 dozen pictures. So in the next year, I'll do one each month.
Ah, smart. All right, well, thank you, Oleg. Up next, we have some contributions by Steve. And we will start off with Salzburg Horse Fountain, which I think I misspelled fountain, but it's meant to be fountain.
Yeah, this is actually inspired by you, Matt, with their shooting into the sun. So I decided to try that and had to, some dramatic effects lighting up the water and got a lot of really cool ones. There's above his head, there's an actual fountain, like a bowl that the water drips out of, but I couldn't get a good 3D and the whole fountain. So I focused on, the flaring nostrils. I've got one where I got even closer, but wasn't as good a composition.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and this is what's so great about this club. You talking about shooting into the sun, which is one of those things they tell you never to do. But that's just for your home snapshots.
I see three of them are have the same angle of repose.
Yeah, there's horses all around this statue. I think I've got them all, but it doesn't. There's no way to show them all and maintain. Yeah, it would be nice to get one of those rigs where you can separate the cameras. But it's just the W3. That's all I can really take with me when we travel. So I'm pretty happy with that camera. But yeah, you can't do everything.
It's a great camera.
By the way, I solved the sound issue that I had. I had the speaker on a YouTube playing.
Got it.
So
yeah, that's usually the case.
All is well now. Thank you.
All right, great, Pete.
Yeah, YouTube's insidious that way. It has a tendency to just play in the background.
Yeah, you could really see the backlighting really accentuates the water. Really gives it a nice contrast compared to the darker horse sculptures.
Yeah. This came out good.
Yeah, in my opinion, this is a much more interesting photo than it would be if the sun were, behind you.
I agree.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Steve. Next from Steve is a great subject for stereo, Solano bubbles.
Yeah, this is just I had a bubble machine, and when I was going through my photos, I realized that I was thinking like a filmmaker, and I shot with the bubbles coming at me, which is a more dramatic cinema. But if I had turned around, it would have looked just as good, and then I would have seen the people's faces. It wouldn't be as dramatic in motion, but it's a still picture, so it doesn't matter. But it didn't occur to me until after I'm, going through all my photos and say, oh, wait a minute. I don't have to always just have the bubbles coming towards me. But that's what I did. Although I probably would look weird standing there blocking the bubble machine.
That's a good thought. You got to do what you got to do.
I can't hear everything.
I think she said, you got to do what you got to do.
Well, I'm learning, and this I'm learning from Matt and his husband. Now in the future, I'll shoot from different angles.
And you're allowed to do what you want with the bubbles too. Everybody else gets to decide if they're going to pop it or what they're going to do.
Oh yeah. And yeah, this is okay. I mean, you can sort of see the people interacting with the bubbles, which isn't so bad.
And you see the people behind the bubble maker too.
Yeah,
So you see their
true.
faces.
There's a few people there. Then you can see their faces.
Yeah, but I like your idea. That's I don't think I would have thought of that.
Well, thanks for letting me off the hook. I mean, you can always, paste in some fake bubbles, but I've never tried. Wouldn't be necessary in this one.
No, this is great.
Yeah, the distribution of the bubbles is really ideal. I like how you have the close bubble by the close person and the farther bubbles by the farther people.
Yeah, the bubbles are always a great subject for 3D.
The
And
foreground.
it's not nearly as interesting in 2D.
The woman and the child in the foreground are a bit in front of the window. It works great on the anaglyph stream. It's a little hard for me to see on the half-width side-by-side stream.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. I probably forgot to do the adjustment in Stereo Photo Maker. Normally I do that. Hit the K key and push it so it's if it's crossing the border of the picture, make sure it doesn't come out of the window. But yeah, I definitely forgot to do that. Of course, you get the bubble comes farther towards you. I could have done it with a bubble if there was a bubble. There would be a reason to add in a fake bubble because it could come through the window. I actually do have a couple like that, but they were hard to look at. Something's too close to you. It's just painful to focus on it.
Yeah. Well, these bubbles are nicely illuminated also. You've got that nice shadowed street and these illuminated bubbles floating over it, so they're really well defined. I mean, even in 2D you can get a sense of what's going on. In 3D, of course, it's even better.
Yeah.
You also get the sun in the right spot. You get that kicker on each bubble.
I don't know what it is. A lot of people's voices are breaking up tonight. Was that Bob speaking?
That was Tor.
Oh, so Tor, I don't know what you did when you said, how's that? It was perfect. Did you get closer to the mic when you did that?
I mean, it's a matter of inches. Is this better?
That makes some that's
you're
much better.
Yeah.
That's 5 inches.
You're going to need to do those inches when you speak. Because your mic's just not picking you up.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to buy new everything, that's all. Anyway, my comment
get closer
was
to the mic.
that
Move the mic
the
closer
sun
to you.
is in the right place and you're getting a nice kick off of the bubbles.
Yeah, lucky, just dumb luck, but yeah, and the shadows do help define it.
Yeah, the shadows definitely work. Those are the best. Those the best bubbles.
And I'm sure I've already mentioned that I have a bubble machine that I'm just waiting to use. I bought it specifically for stereo photography. I'm just waiting for that opportunity to fire it up. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Here's another one by you. Let's take a look at Solano drummers.
Yeah, I spent several minutes with these guys, and I got really close to this one in the foreground to get a more dramatic 3D, but never. And I took maybe 30 pictures of them. Never got as dynamic a pose as this. I kept hoping, waiting, shooting, and it was just never as good. I think they did hit this pose a couple times, but I just wasn't able to take the picture at the right moment.
So just a comment, and this is something that Dr. T pointed out in his presentation. If you have the Beam Pro, you can shoot video and then grab individual frames off the video and get precisely what you want.
That occurred to me. I'm always a little bit resistant to that. I think the W3 maximum res in video is 720, if I'm not mistaken. Plus, you get a little bit more motion blur when you're shooting video than with stills. So it's a trade-off. But yeah, that did occur to me, and you could shoot, and I have done that.
Yeah, and the Beam Pro is a different beast because the video is just as sharp, and it's 1920 by 1080.
What is that? The Beam Pro? I'm not familiar with that.
The Beam Pro is a stereo camera. It's an Android-based camera. I'm holding one up now, but I'll show it at the end of the slideshow also. It's
you can get a black case for it, like this. And basically, it's a $200 camera.
Really?
And Dr. T is just thrilled with it.
So it's not the same company that makes the hydrogen?
No, it is not.
All right. And it works as a phone as well?
No.
Oh, okay.
It is in the form factor of a phone. It is everything but a phone, but it has Wi-Fi, and so you can email your pictures if you have Wi-Fi, but it is not a phone.
Oh, can you send text messages?
No, it's not a phone.
Okay.
I will put in a link in the chat, Steve, to this phone. There's been a lot of discussion about it on the message boards. And Dr. T, just last Saturday at the last NYSA meeting, gave a presentation about it. And I think that's still on YouTube if you want to check that out. I'll be showing some photos that I took with my X-Reel Beam Pro, and I can talk a little bit about it. We can talk a little bit about it after the slideshow as well. It's a very portable, very inconspicuous camera. I would argue that the W3 is technically a better camera, but that is debatable. That's the Beam Pro. Steve, I think this is an excellent photo, and one thing I will say is that I think this shows how talented these performers are, that they actually are synchronized, because I've shot exhibitions like this, dance exhibitions or music exhibitions that are not as polished, and they look like everyone's synchronized, but when you take that photo and freeze that moment in time, you see that they're actually all over the place. So I think you got the right performers to wait for this shot.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Maybe calling it a dance is probably key, because like for music in general, I've found that no matter how close up I get to the music, the sound just never quite gets captured on film. But it's sort of like a natural thing to try, but it doesn't work. So yeah, music is always kind of tough. But so this one works, and that's really impressive to me. And I think that's
Thanks.
why I think it's the dance aspect of it or something that's making it. But it's also the moment and the composition and the cropping, and most of the faces are visible. You did a really good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice that these performers are not in a straight line, but kind of in a curve. 'Cause I can follow that curve back to those performers near the end, and I can see them clearly. And then there's that Santa Fe sign and the background building. Very nice.
So there's your Solano stroll. So we got a year planned to come back there.
Was the Solano Stroll very crowded this year?
Yeah, pretty crowded.
Well, that's good. It's good for Solano.
Yeah.
The one year that I attended with a stereo camera, which was quite a while ago, the Albany Twin was still open. That's how long ago it was. It was so crowded I couldn't get any sight lines to take any photos.
Wasn't the Albany Twin just opened a year ago?
2 years.
Oh, 2 years. Oh, it's been 2 years already.
It's already been 2 years, yeah.
Well, a year and a half.
I went inside the Oaks Theater on this trip because it's a rock climbing facility.
Right. But they did restore all that beautiful neon on the Oaks Theater sign. That's one I really got to get a photo of.
Oh, and speaking of the Albany Theater, a couple of years ago, my film showed there as part of the Albany Film Festival, and I saw a sign today that the Albany Film Festival is going to be at the El Cerrito Theater.
Oh.
They
Okay.
did that last year too.
Oh, I
Good to know.
guess it slipped by. Maybe I was out of town at that time. But my film, I'll have my film ready for next year's. It's almost done.
Oh, great.
Not in 3D though. Sorry.
Right. You can give us an update after the meeting because it's not in 3D. That's your punishment. And finally from Steve is a stereo photo titled Vienna Statue.
Yeah. Let's see. Is this? Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I took a picture really close to his foot, and I thought, oh, I can merge these two together, and that's not going to happen. I could have done it in 2D, but not in 3D. But this worked out okay. There were some people in the background they were just distracting. Not that I have anything against people, but it was just kept drawing my eye, so I just took them out. And also that red sign in the back that says tomb, I guess. I made it, a much duller shade of red
Oh.
because that was also drawing my eye.
Is there any detail that you can get of the dark face?
I'm sure there is because I didn't look that. I really like that kind of brooding, the brow hiding the eyes. But yeah, so I didn't make any attempt. I'm sure I could get more detail out of that. You think that would improve it?
Yeah, for me anyway. I don't like the way these blacken the shadows. If you were there, you'd see detail.
Okay, well, yeah, I could probably pretty easily go in and
It's a
get,
job for curves.
yeah, curves, yeah, like you mentioned, the nice thing about curves is they're non-destructive, and the Affinity does have them, very similar to Photoshop. You can put it on your picture and adjust it or turn it off, on and off at will. They have several things.
The camera raw filter will give you I think a more tightly controlled adjustment.
I agree with that because the Affinity has something similar to Camera Raw, and that's what I usually end up using because it pulls the details a little better, but it isn't non-destructive. It permanently changes the picture. But I always keep a copy of the original and just duplicate the whole picture and then work on the picture. Then I can always get it back. So in a way, that's a variation on the non-destructive. Just I'm sure everybody else does that too. Just duplicate the layer.
Of course, with the W3, you could have also have used a fill flash to illuminate the face, the eyes, those areas in shadow. That wouldn't work for the shadows in the hotel cafe, which personally don't bother me too much. But it's an option. And I'll add the X-Real Beam Pro, which I am going to show after the slideshow. And I am showing it now. Like the Fuji, does have not a flash, but a light. And like the Fuji, it's in the worst possible place, right between the lenses. So you get conflicting shadows. I don't know who makes these decisions, but here we are. I love the wear on this statue. The toe, the knee, the hand, the handle, where people have rubbed it. That's my favorite part of this photo.
And just FYI, because you made the mention of the tables in the background, there's some fakery going on there. I hope you didn't notice it. Maybe you will now that I mention it, because that was blocked by the person who's walking. And so I cloned one table and pasted it on the other. I'm looking at it now. I think it worked okay.
It's not noticeable.
I didn't notice it until you mentioned it.
Oh, good. It's amazing what you can do.
Yeah. Since it's dark back there, I think you can probably get away with a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I see a spot where you said you might have removed some people, but it doesn't cause any rivalry that I can see. It's just sort of a smooth spot on the ground.
Yeah, I think in some cases, just out of it was getting late, and I just took the color and painted. Normally, I'll take the color and then I'll take some of the texture, but it was so subtle. I didn't think it would make any difference.
It works for me.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Well, thank you,
They don't
Steve.
keep these too long.
You traveled all over the world to get us these photos.
That's right. I'm glad you appreciate it, man. I do this for you.
From Berkeley to Austria. Very nice. Love it. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Thank you.
Can't wait to see more. Melinda, we've got you up next with 4 stereo photos that you've shared with us this month. Let me load up the first one. I think we've got a theme going on here, and the title of this is Boosh.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite shooting spots. Just this nice viewing platform with benches and things like that, right by the east end of Crissy Field. And every day around sunset, there's quite a crowd that forms. And this time, the waves were breaking directly onto the steps that are going down into the water here, and I thought that was kind of fun. I decided to get some pictures of it and risk walking into the area where the spray is happening, and I got one picture, and then the waves just kind of stopped. And I waited for a long time, tried to take some other pictures, but I guess it was just a set of waves that was happening right then when I got there, and I got like the last one, and that's fine. It was I was happy with the result. It's a very abstract kind of composition with foam everywhere, and so yeah, I mean, not a lot to say about it, but it's pretty much what I was after.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Thanks.
You just got the perfect light on it.
This is with the hydrogen?
Yes. Mhm.
No,
Yeah, and I
terrific.
was most of my shots, I guess before this, I was shooting directly toward the sunset, like almost everybody is trying to do, and I usually do. But it sort of wasn't happening, and then I decided to shoot this one directly into where the spray was happening. So it's a very different composition. That's really what made it more of an abstract. The other ones didn't really work that well.
Yeah, it's a great stereo subject. It's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, most of the spray is behind the window, but there are a few bits of foam droplets that are just in front of the window. But I think because of that nice narrow base, the whole thing is very comfortable to view. You've got great depth in it.
Yeah, you might see another one that I just took like yesterday.
I've had the same experience with waves. They're just so unpredictable. And you can see some great wave action and set up to take your shot, and then it just all kind of dies down. You really have to get it right away.
And take a lot of them. I mean, like you say, it's kind of unpredictable. So
Yeah.
take 20 shots and maybe get one good one. That's plenty.
Well, it's a job for the Beam Pro video. And you get lots of pictures.
That's not a bad idea.
I just bought the Beam Pro and I haven't opened the box yet.
Okay.
Can
Well,
you shoot video with the hydrogen?
I think the hydrogen does shoot video.
Oh, yes, it does shoot video. Maybe I'll try it. I don't know what the resolution is. It's definitely lower, but But yeah, when you find kind of a nice composition, it would certainly be very advantageous to sort of step through frame by frame to look for the best one. Because as it is, I'm happy if I get a good composition. But if it was video, then I definitely would be able to slightly improve it that way.
Yeah, I think I mentioned there was a stereo photographer who presented, I forget where this was, and this stereo photographer had two cameras mounted on a camera bar, but they weren't synchronized. There was no cable connecting them, and he explained he just shot in video and would pull frames out of that video to make stills, which work. The one thing is it really doesn't give you a lot of resolution to work with. If you don't really have a lot of room to crop down or rotate, make those sorts of adjustments.
But for any sort of action, it's got to be a nice thing to be able to just move a little forward, a little backward in time.
Yeah, good point.
You get you get a bubble right in front of somebody's nose or something, and maybe it's not ideal. And a frame before, a frame after might be more comfortable or something.
A lot of times I'm left wishing for that other slightly before or slightly after set of frames.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that specifically, looking for like spray or bubbles or whatever, and try that with video. Even with a loss of resolution, if it results in a much better moment, then that'll be worth it.
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be fun to make that a special competition subject, although not everyone has the ability to shoot 3D video. But it definitely sounds like an interesting technique. I've been hearing about it. I'm just going to have to try it myself, too. All right. Thank you, Melinda, for Boosh. Next from Melinda is Caroline.
Yeah, so this is over at a friend's house, and this is Caroline in their new apartment. Very lovely. Yeah, I don't know. She was just eating this popsicle, and I thought, oh, that's a nice picture, and asked if I could take a snap.
Oh, it's a great portrait. That's what the hydrogen one was made for.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. And I like her inner element. I mean, the style of the furniture and everything is, it's all, I'm sure, part of her personality as well. I don't know who did the decorating exactly, so I'm just guessing, but it did seem like a good moment for a portrait.
And it looks like a nice, unposed, spontaneous capture.
Yes, she was very gracious about it and pretty comfortable. So that definitely helped. And she was aware too that she didn't know where to look, because after I took it, she was asking about it, and then I pointed out where the lenses were, and I took another picture when she looked right at the lenses, but that one turned out to have a lot of well, it wasn't as good of a moment. And then in Photoshop, I spent an awful long time trying to just clone her eyes from the second picture into this first picture, and that was just turning out to be impossible. So I gave up on that and just took this use this first image. But I might put something on on the camera, some little arrows or something that shows people where to look,
Huh.
or at least something to catch their attention more than the, or at least cover up the red logo, which is on the opposite side from the cameras, which is what I think is usually what catches people's eye.
I think her gaze is just fine. I don't mind that she's not looking right at the camera.
I think it's okay. It's with portraits in general, though, when people look directly into the camera, I think there's something a little extra powerful that comes from that.
This just conveys a bit of curiosity, like what is she thinking? What is she looking at?
Yeah, it's a nice. I mean, I guess I can't say it's a candid moment, but it's.
I agree with Bob. I think her expression is more interesting for not looking at the camera. It kind of makes you wonder what she's thinking.
Okay, could be. Yeah, and in the second picture, she wasn't really smiling or anything. So here she's a little more expressive.
You have some nice Rembrandt lighting too. Looks like you've got light coming from one direction out a window.
Yeah, there's a lot of light coming from just an enormous bank of windows to the left. So it's a little bit harsh. I had to tone it down on the table there on the left. That was just blinding.
Yeah.
But the rest of the image was okay.
Yeah, add this to your album of portraits, stereo portraits.
Yeah, it's fun. I was never that interested in portraiture until I had a camera that sort of meant for that.
All right, thank you, Melinda. Next from Melinda, I think the title is Stellation. Did I get that right?
That's right.
Stellation.
This is the final stellation of the icosahedron. So that's Willow in the background. She was the other friend in that household, and we drove together here to a kind of a math / puzzle party thing, and the host had 3D printed these polyhedral models, and stellations they're related to polyhedra. It's a kind of a polyhedra, and I don't know, it's its own thing, but these are pretty big, and it was a pretty big project for him to print these pieces, and then he's got magnets embedded in them. You can just grab onto one of these spines and pull it out, and then you can see that there's other layers to the form, and if you could take it apart layer by layer and see all the internal forms, which are mathematically interesting features of the model. So it's kind of impressive that he was able to do this. It was a lot of work and quite successful, and makes for a very nice 3D subject. I wasn't really spending any time looking for great shots or anything. I was actually kind of testing out some 3D video for a different reason. So this just sort of happened to be the subject that was there. But then I decided to take some snaps for the for the club.
Yeah, it is a great subject, and I love your window alignment. You've got parts of it poking through the window, but nothing that intersects an edge of the image. Very well done.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was pretty respectful of the window, which of course is not super important on the top and bottom edges, but it's just my instinct now.
What's really interesting right now is the color of Melinda Green's picture next to your photograph.
I don't follow.
Your photograph is on my screen on the right side. I don't know if everybody gets that.
My photograph is on your screen.
Yes.
Talking about your profile picture?
It's because of the well, now it's she's gone off because you're talking.
Oh, her Zoom profile picture. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Now I got Matt's picture.
If you
Yeah.
double click one of the pictures, you can pin it so that it won't move around.
But now it's okay. Melinda's back on my screen, and she's got the same hair and the same blue, whatever that cloth is, as the picture of the photograph.
Yeah, I see kind of the purple, blue purple, and the red.
Oh, the colors are matching. You're saying my
Right.
profile picture and the
Yeah,
cover
and
range of this image. Okay, I see.
it's not only your blue, the yellow orange circle in the photograph are also matching the colors of the lady's dress.
I saw. Oh, go
I
ahead.
think that
Warren.
might be a man's shirt. I'm not sure that's a woman in the back. But yeah, I take what you're saying. Similar time of day, maybe. Warm colors. And then they both happen to have a kind of a lavender element in the middle.
There is I saw a photo of a similar model at the Cascade Stereoscopic Society at a Zoom meeting a couple months ago. I think the photographer's name is Carl. He
Carl
had.
Burdick, yes.
That's it, yes. He had some models like this, great subject for 3D, and he photographed them. I don't think this is something you would want to do with this one, which is much more elaborate. He photographed his by tossing his in the air and shooting them, sort of suspended in space. And the effect was really nice. His shutter speed was fast enough that you didn't see any blur or anything. They were just these complex geometric shapes. Well, one shape, sort of floating in the air. It was a really effective technique that I plan to steal someday.
Well, now I wasn't going to go into this, but I mentioned that I was kind of originally shooting some 3D video here, and the reason for that was because I had just been shown a video that the creator had made of taking this particular model and throwing it in the air toward the camera, and then smashing onto a table in the foreground, and all the pieces flying out in every different direction, and it was pretty dramatic. And so I was thinking, well, that just needs to be done in 3D. So I was taking this as some test imagery to show it to him, to make the pitch to maybe set it up and shoot the 3D version of that on the spot. And he did like the idea, but we didn't do it at that point. But yeah, since the whole thing is held together with magnets, it makes a pretty spectacular explosion when it's dropped.
Well, I can see you're way ahead of me in this idea. If you have a chance to execute it, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it'll probably happen. But then I realized, well, when is anybody ever going to be able to see 3D video? I can't even get YouTube to properly handle my attempts anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
With YouTube, you can't let it know that it's actually 3D. You just have to let it be dumb. And
Yeah, I can do the side-by-side thing, but it's like it's got support for stereo, so I feel I have to at least do it right. But then it just doesn't work.
yeah, YouTube 3D is Anaglyph, and YouTube used to have a very nice built-in 3D feature that would let you view actual 3D videos in multiple formats, but that was many years ago. And then they
Oh, well, doesn't it still do that? I just assumed it was because I don't have a suitable device.
Yeah, and you can no longer view it, but if you download it, it's side by side.
That's crazy. Yeah. Gosh, they should really fix it.
I'm using what am I using? I don't know what it's called. It's a really great downloader. 4K video downloader. I don't even know who makes it.
I use MacX YouTube downloader.
Have you downloaded any of these that show up as
side by side? Yeah.
And they come out side by side.
I mean, I think if they were originally submitted as side by side, then yeah, that's what you can get. And playing on my regular computer, it just assumes, oh, well, you need to watch this in Anaglyph.
Yes, the YouTube player, which used to have an option, you could turn on the Anaglyph, or you could switch it to side by side. Why they would give us fewer options, I have no idea. But it's not completely gone, so you can download it and watch them. And obviously, it's a big hassle, and you have to, make sure you have enough space on your hard drive. But that's not usually a big issue these days.
But yeah,
it's great that that wealth of material that's available on YouTube is viewable in its pure color.
It's strange, yeah. If you upload a side-by-side video to YouTube and tell YouTube that it's a 3D video, then it'll play it in Anaglyph, and you don't have the option anymore to switch to any other 3D formats. What a shame.
And the two side-by-side formats should be the easiest of all, and they used to support them. They used to support them both. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine why they would take it away.
I know that YouTube changed their technology, and they switched from an HTML5 viewer to some other viewer. And when they made that transition, I think the 3D fad, the 2008, 2012 3D fad was kind of dying down. So I just think they just kind of crossed it off their list and forgot about it.
Oh, maybe it was like all done in Flash or something, and then
Precisely.
I think it was when they went off of Flash. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So they would have had to re-implement it.
Yeah, but if you bring up a side by side on a 3D TV, then it will know that that's what it needs to convert it to, and they'll present it that way.
Oh.
It's because you're watching on your computer that is not a 3D device that decides, well, this is how you have to watch it. This is how
Right.
you're going to need to watch it.
But even
And
when I
you're
try
gonna-
on, even if
you
I try on
download
the
it,
hydrogen one, it doesn't
and-
work.
Okay, I'll have to wait.
Huh.
It's
So what was that, Steve?
Then, since you have to download it to watch it in color, then you have it, because sometimes there's stuff on YouTube that disappears the next day. So especially if it's something that you really like, there is some pretty good stuff in 3D on YouTube.
Well, thank you, Melinda. Let's take a look at one more by you, and that is "The World is My Patio."
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Just went out for a walk this one day, and two of my neighbors had pulled some chairs out their front door, and were just enjoying the last rays of sunlight. I don't know why exactly, but well, I guess this is where they were able to get some sun or something. They've only done it the once so far, but I thought it was kind of funny.
Hey, and you're shooting into the light too.
Yep, straight into the sunset. Late enough that the light is not too harsh.
Yeah, very nice. The shadow.
It's a
of
creative
that stop
solution.
sign
I
helps.
never would have thought to plant myself on the sidewalk, but it works, especially with these hugely wide sidewalks that we have.
That stop sign shadow on the left makes a nice kind of frame and a leading line. Well,
Yeah, I could use a little wider stereo base. Otherwise, this is okay.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about the X-Real Beam Pro. It might be a camera that would interest you, but of course you are such a pro with that Hydrogen One. You're probably going to wear yours out at the rate you use it.
Well, I almost have in some ways. It's the operating system is so obsolete now. But maybe I just need to get a more modern phone, and then I could still carry the Hydrogen One with me.
That's what I'm doing
So-
with the Beam Pro.
So what's
It's
this?
two devices.
Yeah, what's the Beam Pro?
I'll show it. I've actually have a little. I have a couple photos that I'll show after this slideshow, and I'll show mine off. Talk a little bit about it, and I'll be showing two of my photos tonight, which are actually coming up next, are taken with the Beam Pro, and I did put a link in the chat. There's a link to the website, and I put in an Amazon link also, but it looks like that link didn't make it over, so I'll add that.
Oh, did you show it once recently at a meeting?
I probably
think-
flashed it last month. Yeah, I didn't go into
I think I got a glimpse of it when I signed in, but then the discussion moved to something else.
Probably so, yeah. Let me redo that, because it looks like the links got kind of mushed together, but
Okay, so $200.
I'll show it off in a few minutes also, but
I'm
there's
working
a
at the
link,
Amazon
two
link.
links in the
That's-
chat for
yeah,
you to
looks interesting.
explore.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, thank you, Melinda. I'm up next. By the way, I hope you don't mind if well, I don't know. We've got plenty of time tonight. We'll probably run a little bit late. We have about 10 more photos to go through, and I won't spend too much time on mine. I will start off with one I'm very happy with. This is Bodega Bay Tide Pool. And, you know, I've been going, I returned to the beach, Carmet Beach. I had shared some wave stereo photos, crashing waves last month, and I've returned and taken some more. So you're going to be seeing a lot of these, and I plan to return at least one more time. I'd love to get up there when there's some blue sky. So far, it's always been socked in for me, but this was a foggy day, as you can see. What I really like about this photo is that you can see the sea anemones in the foreground through the water. I photographed this with my twin Sonys, and I experimented with polarized filters over the lenses.
I was wondering, yeah, if that's what happened.
Yeah. When you get it right, it really works well. The trick is that they have to be adjusted identically on both cameras, and it's easy to get that off. And if they aren't matched, then you're just going to have reflections in one eye that aren't in the other eye, and it's pretty much impossible to fix. But here I got it right, and I'd say also that these polarizing lenses, which is a lot like putting sunglasses over your camera lenses, kind of punched up the color a little bit, even though there was a very gray day. And yeah, anyway, that's how I made this shot.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I think you might want to try zooming in even just a little bit, so that the main subject is that foreground foam, and then all the connected foam going back to that big island.
Something like that, maybe. Let me do that on the rest of these. Yeah, I did crop this, but I can probably crop it a little tighter. Oh, well, that's not going to work. Yeah, good point. I think you're right.
And you don't want to take too much off of the bottom because you do have the edge of the pool.
I'll play with this. I wanted to preserve the anemone that's on the near the right edge, but that probably isn't really too important.
Oh no, I think that's getting in the way. I think if you put the anemone in the middle, put that in your right corner, and you
Okay.
mostly just I like the but do you see the foam that I'm talking about? Yeah, you're getting there.
Something like this, maybe.
Yeah, I'd go in a little more, but that's the idea.
Okay. So for those who are following along on YouTube, unfortunately I can't replicate this for some reason right now, but I've just cropped in the version that we're sharing on the Zoom screen share, and I've basically cropped it in maybe 20% or something. Yeah, I agree. I think that this is probably more effective.
This
like
could also work as a vertical composition, adding some headroom to the sky.
Oh,
Or square.
Yeah. Regarding the polarized filter, I think you'll find if it's linear polarizing material that if you cut a disc that's wide enough to cover both lenses, then when you rotate that disc, the polarization will be identical on both sides.
yeah. I was wondering if that would work. I kind of thought about that, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure about the physics, I guess. I think that these filters are circular polarizing filters, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But regardless, I would much prefer having one filter to rotate and adjust instead
Right.
of two and trying to match them up, especially using the very tiny screens on the on my Sony cameras. So
Yeah, I think linear polarization would be parallel. So whatever orientation the disc, it would be the same angle on both lenses if it covered them both.
that's something I'd like to try, but I'll definitely be playing with these polarizers more. Let me move on to my next beach photo. I don't want to save that. This is Carmet Beach number 68. I took, of course, many hundreds. And I liked the sculptural quality of this breaking wave, and using the polarizing filters on these, you notice there are no reflections on the rocks. The sun was really right overhead, and I got some nice color in the ocean that I really didn't see, and I didn't add that. I'm sure I could have replicated that using Photoshop, but this is how it came out of the camera. So I'm going to keep playing with these polarizing filters. If you get them wrong, you'll really ruin your shot. But if you get them right in the right circumstances, I think that they can definitely used for some creative solutions. So you can expect to see many more breaking waves for the rest of the year from me. And then my final two photos are not of the beach. These are photos that I took with my X-Reel Beam Pro. So this will give you an idea of its separation, its lenses. It has fairly wide lenses. I want to say these are 10 millimeter. The lens spacing is 55 millimeters, so it's not quite as wide as the Fuji W3, but you can get some nice depth out of it. And because it looks like a phone, it's very inconspicuous, much less conspicuous than my twin rig. And I was shooting here. I just liked the reflection in the mirror, which is what I was really after. And I was waiting for something interesting to happen until that woman walked by, and then I got my shot. Great color. I only needed to do a bit of horizontal aligning to fix a window violation. Otherwise, the alignment is always spot on. There's no rotation errors or vertical alignment errors. The color is great. It is this is what I guess what's called computational photography, in that it kind of does a bit of automatic touch up. It does sort of an auto color, auto tone, auto contrast right after you take the photo. I don't know if you can turn it off. The camera app is actually kind of limited. But I didn't have to do any adjustments in Photoshop. I didn't change the saturation or anything. And you can also see that it actually doesn't do great in low light. This isn't bad, but there is some motion blur on the woman who's walking across the frame. And as Dr. T explained in a message board post, this camera doesn't really have any manual settings, and in low light situations, it will lower the shutter speed rather than increase the ISO, or the light sensitivity. So that's why there's a bit of blur to her face. If you were to zoom in, as I will here, you can see that she's not totally sharp. But it's a fun little camera to use. It's very portable, inconspicuous, as I said, and yeah, good enough.
It's got a nice base too. It could well be my next camera. It's I would like to be able to capture more subjects, larger subjects.
I'll do a quick little demo after the slideshow, and it's cheap enough. Well, $200 isn't necessarily cheap, but
I mean, for a phone, it is now.
yeah. Well, it's not a phone. It looks like a phone, but it's really just an Android tablet. It does have Wi-Fi connectivity, but you can't make calls on it.
It's got 6G, it says.
I don't know what kind of connectivity it has in terms of... I don't know. Good question. But I'll show it off in a bit.
As far as I know, it's just Wi-Fi. It's nothing other than Wi-Fi or Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, but
Yeah, that
no
sounds right.
cellular.
So what's the 6G? That's unfortunate.
Who said 6G?
Yeah, no 6G.
Amazon. It's in the title.
Maybe it just means sixth generation.
It could well be. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too
let's
bad.
take a
I need
look at
a
this.
modern phone now.
I think that 6G is 6 gigabytes of RAM.
Okay.
That's got to be, yeah.
That makes sense.
6G plus 128G.
Yeah, what's the one? 128. Dash? Who knows?
Yeah, the 6G version is $200. So I'll show that. I'll give a quick demo of that. And here's another one. I took this photo at the Orinda car show. I think everyone knows I like to take photos at car shows. This was at Orinda Classic Motors, which is a mechanic that specializes in classic cars. And here's another one from that car show, taken with the same camera. The title of this is Woody, and I was going after the reflections in the window more than anything. Again, I did align this horizontally. I was very close when I took this, so most of the photo was outside of the window, straight out of the camera. But that's the only adjustment I made to it. Oh, and I cropped it too, cropped it down a little bit. But that's it. I didn't adjust any color, didn't do any shadow highlights, nothing like that.
That's good.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Well, I mean, your photo it's a good composition. I like the cropping. Of course, the image quality is quite good.
Yeah, thank
Your
you.
shadow, your reflections that you were looking for, that worked really well. That can be difficult. It's good.
I had brought my twin rig with me to this event, but just kept it in the bag and never even bothered to turn it on. Shot everything with this little Android camera. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Next, Peter, thank you. I hope you're still with us. I hope we haven't put you to sleep. We've got...
It's midnight. I'll turn into a pumpkin.
Well, I appreciate you sticking with us. We've got two very creative conversions here. And tell us about the original and tell us what you've done with it.
Sure. This is a Norman Rockwell from a October 30th, 1948 Saturday Evening Post cover, which is, of course, just before the 1948 election. And there's the two people at breakfast arguing over who we should vote for there. Dewey on the left and Truman on the right. And some poor kid crying because her parents aren't getting along. So it's a typical wonderful Rockwell with all kinds of things in all the places. And I thought with the election coming up, it's an appropriate thing to try a conversion on.
So I'm going to jump right ahead to the next version of this. That was Dewey versus Truman. This is Trump versus Harris.
Right. So I just replaced the photos with our current people that are running. And it's almost like saying, well, just nothing changes or something. I don't know what the caption might be, but I thought it was just current and appropriate, and I did it, and it doesn't make any statement of political ways. It just shows what the atmosphere is like when people don't agree to things, I suppose.
I'm having a little trouble figuring out her arm. I'm assuming that it's her right arm crossed over her left arm, but the spatial placement, I think, is not quite right.
If you're looking for errors, you'll have a field day. Because I do it to a certain level of competence and then I stop.
Yeah, I remember your demo. You mentioned that a number of times, which is a good policy. But it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, there are much better people at doing conversions, and I defer to their skills, but I just like doing things I like to do, I guess is the way. And a lot of this historical vintage, the sort of stuff I do.
The little curved shape for the leg of the table, I would assume that they should match, but one's farther back than the other. But
yeah, I tried that, and what I got was a floater. If I did a dead straight leg, it would float off the floor a bit.
Yeah.
So I cheated and bent the leg down so it touches the floor from the top. That's what I did there.
No, I don't have a problem with the actual leg. There's this thing that it almost looks like a trap on a sink. That is from like the top third of the leg and curves. There are these little sort of U-shaped.
Well, the skirt of the woman isn't quite placed in the right depth in the gap there above the top of the leg, near where it meets on the right leg. It's a little forward, should be pushed back.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Nice job, Peter. The only thing that bothers me a bit is the news or whatever, the magazine with Kamala on it. Her head's kind of popping out, and the back of the top of the magazine is kind of bent backwards. If that could be straightened a bit.
Yeah, she sort of 3D'ing herself out of the magazine when really.
Yeah, and it's kind of curved around, kind of almost going around the woman's back. But
yeah, that's a good point.
I think
The other
Yeah.
problems don't bother me much. It's what it is. It's a great image.
And I welcome anyone to take it and fix it up. That's my ultimate threat.
well,
But
of
it's very
course,
I'm
topical right
unlikely
now.
to do anything with it. In about a month, it's going to be pretty well old history anyway, won't it?
Yeah, so it's a very topical picture, and it's nice to be reminded that it's our current times are not entirely new.
Yeah, it's Rockwell has all these metaphors that he does, and a lot of them are very interesting and fun.
in terms of the conversion, it's always hard to convert a painting, even like a photorealistic style like Rockwell, because Rockwell made some cheats, might have created some perspectives that wouldn't really work in real life, but work in this context, work in the art piece. And 3D has a way of shining a light on all those little cheats. I see these a lot in movies that are shot in 2D and converted to 3D. There are a lot of little tricks that are kind of invisible in 2D that all of a sudden stand out in 3D because they weren't really ever meant to be seen that way. They weren't really even conceived that way.
Yeah, artwork is a bit different than photographs. As you say,
Right.
there's liberties taken in a painting that aren't realistic to normal life. But
So
I
tell
think,
us,
yeah, go ahead.
Peter, tell us how much time you spent on this.
This one here, first I use immersive AI to start it off, and then I run around fixing it. And I'd say I spent about 3 hours fixing this one, which is more than I usually spend. But things like the drape behind the woman's head was torn. It smears in when you do this AI stuff, and you have to fix the smear in all these images, and you have to do a lenticular, you need to do 8 of the images. So there's a lot of work. Side by side, at least, if you're willing to go in and fix it up. For instance, you can see where the line of the cloth meets the newspaper of Kamala, pardon me. It's not straight. You see the line coming down from the drape to the newspaper. It curves sideways in the right image. And in the left image, it's correct. Everyone see that one? I can't point it out, but if you look, Kamala's newspaper, just in the drape, by where it meets the newspaper.
Let me see if I can highlight that.
A little lower to the right. There we are.
There,
Yep.
somewhere.
A bit. There we are.
I need to do that.
It's just, if you go in, if I went in and fixed it better, I'd clone that to be straight, those lines straight coming down to the newspaper on the right-hand image. And you can look all over the place and find, and below the newspaper slightly, it's got the same drape issue, bent drapes from smearing.
And of course, by the time you fixed all those, the election would be over.
The next election would still be coming up if I had to fix all that stuff.
Peter, I don't know how to break this to you, but I don't think you can actually vote in this election.
No.
You are in Canada, right?
I am. I have. I'm neutral.
All right.
Now, if you attack and invade Canada and take it over, well, maybe then I'll get to vote in some election.
Well, I haven't heard anything. I've had my ear to the ground.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Well, as long as I can pay my fees to you guys for my memberships, that's the main thing.
Oh, when that happens, yes.
Anyway, thanks for looking at it.
Well, thank you for sharing it. Thanks for responding to my plea. I wanted to fill out our slideshow, and this was great. And I'm also going to extend a thanks to Bob Bloomberg, who's waited patiently. The last section of the slideshow is all Bob. We've got 4 very nice photos, starting with Chicago Underground. And this looks like a very interesting mirror effect. Tell us all about it.
Well, the original was shot in the Chicago Underground and mirrored it twice. And what you see is what I got. I'm debating, it's the first I've shown it. I'm debating about adding an element to it to give it a little bit of perspective in terms of the size of it. Down below, I thought about it, but I'm happy with it.
Have a hand car running up the edge.
Yeah, I thought about putting a vehicle, some kind of a steampunk vehicle down below.
Just falling off the top.
I'm sorry?
Just falling off the top, just driving off the edge and falling
Yeah.
off the bottom of the picture.
Yeah, I have a couple versions of this, and one with just the top mirroring and not the double horizontal or the vertical mirroring. But I like the colors and the depth, and I like subways too.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of a portal or a passage into a machine.
Yeah. I like the fact that the tracks worked in both the top and the bottom area there, even though it was flipped.
Yeah. Now, were you standing on the tracks when you took this? I'm trying to imagine.
I was
where
close
you
to it,
were.
but no, I took it. If you look at just the top quarter on the left, that's what I shot. So I kind of leaned before the train was coming and kind of moved out a bit. But no, I was more on the platform.
Have to plan ahead of time, but it might be interesting to like take the original stereo photo tilted 90 degrees to the side.
Hmm.
And then like the crease with the tracks will look a lot like the bow of a ship
Mhm.
coming at you.
Yeah, I like the
And-
composition. I like the square window in
I
the
mean,
middle.
it would still be the same basic kind of composition, but the walls would be the floor and ceiling and vice versa.
Mhm.
So it'd be less recognizable as a subway.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just a thought.
Kind of reminds me of a conveyor belt or something like that. Well, show us what you end up doing with this, Bob, if you add any more elements.
Okay,
There's
will
some
do.
fascination to this, yeah. And at our next mirroring special, I hope to see this too.
Well, we'll see how this does in the Lighthouse exhibition.
All right, yes. Thank you for mentioning that. I did want to mention that there are some exhibitions coming up. I'll put those in the chat after you tell us about Cyrus.
Well, this is Cyrus, my niece's dog, who likes his tennis balls, and this is a cha-cha with my iPhone 15 Pro Max.
And how did you get the dog to stay so still?
He was just anxious to have me get the balls and throw them for him again, and I took quite a few, but this was just a quick, rapid burst cha-cha to the starting left to right.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's impressive.
He's a sweet, sweet dog.
You must have moved very fast.
I try my best.
Yeah, a dog didn't know what hit it.
Yeah.
Now, did you pose this dog? Did you cram those balls in its mouth? Or is
No, he did it all himself.
Yeah, looks very proud. Looks very,
Oh, yeah.
very happy about it. Do I detect? Did you add any like vignetting to this, or is that just
I
the
did.
quality of the photo?
I did. I
Okay.
liked kind of calling attention to him more.
Yeah.
So I took the left image and did some vignetting in Camera Raw, and then copied and did the same vignetting on the right.
I think that makes a big difference.
There was a window violation, pretty strong. There's one of the arms of that couch was sticking way out and violating the window. So I did a lot of cloning. So that bottom right corner, which appears fairly flat, was not originally.
Oh.
And I noticed there's still some slight anomalies there, but doesn't bother me. I think most people are going
I don't
to be
even
focused on Cyrus. And I did blur the background also.
That's good.
Bob, isn't Cyrus the dog star?
Cyrus.
Oh,
Serious.
that's serious.
Serious.
Yeah. He's not as serious.
Yeah, that's super adorable. Thank you, Bob. And we have another creature, maybe not quite as adorable. This is
I think
finger
he is.
gecko.
It's a gecko.
That's a tiny little gecko.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very, very cute. And this was shot with a macro realist camera on film.
On film,
and then
and you scan
digit.
the film. So it's 35 millimeter film, right?
Yeah.
You just
Mhm.
you get an amazing amount of detail out of your scans.
And this was just with my Besso dual mode slide copier.
Wow.
I just mounted, I was trying to remember if I did this with my Canon or my more current Sony mirrorless. But just put the slide down on the slide copier, backlighting.
Does that magnify the slide, or are you just shooting?
No, it's just the camera can,
Sure.
get in.
That's probably why it appears so fine-grained, because you're not blowing up the image before you rephotograph it.
Right. And then I ran this through Topaz Photo AI to get it a little sharper.
Yeah, remarkable.
I think it might like a border.
Maybe.
And like you painted out the background.
I'm sorry?
Looks like you painted the background.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you. I know it's something to do with the
It
back.
looks like you painted out the background.
Yeah,
for the-
I
for the full
darkened the
background.
background. There was some anomalies, and I took this actually at a reptile show, and the owner or the caretaker of the gecko kindly posed him for me. And but there were people in the background, and so I tried to block them out.
Do you want to tell us what the vintage of this photo is? How long ago you took it?
Oh, a while. This is probably at least 20, 30 years old.
Looks like you took it yesterday.
Yeah.
And we've got one more from Bob. Specimens.
Yeah, I'm curious to get a reaction on this.
I think it could use a little wider stereo base.
Well, this was a cha-cha with the iPhone 12. And yeah, it could. I didn't have another wider angle up. It doesn't bother me that much. I like the fact that it kind of looks like these things are huge.
With the level of refraction, a wider base would probably make it a little more difficult to view.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, it's not that it's a problem or anything. It's a very good stereo subject. The lighting is excellent.
This was in an antique store, and those vials are maybe about 6 inches tall.
Oh, they looked a lot taller.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you look at that frog back there, I've thought about, I know Oleg would object to it, but I'm about putting a character or an actual size frog in there for a little fooling around with the size, perceived size of these.
Yeah,
Inch tall tourist walking between the vial.
Yeah, I've thought about people looking and pointing up at it. But what works well, I think, from my perspective, is that light inside. This was in a display cabinet, an open shelf, and that light looks like it could be a ceiling light.
Yeah, it does.
So it gives that false impression that these things are just monstrous, which fits the subject matter. They're actually from, I think the writing on the specimen jars is either Russian or Slavic, some Eastern European country that these came from.
fabulous illusion on the depth, which really makes it more exciting.
Yeah, I liked it again. I entered this one in the Chicago Lighthouse, so I'm curious what if it'll even get in or how it'll do, and we'll see.
It's a great effect. The narrow base gives it this sort of new scale, and it's very gothic. It reminds me of the Bride of Frankenstein, the scene with the little jars and the little
Homunculi.
Homunculi. Thank you, Tor. Yes. Very seasonal also. Perfect. You know, I was going to say, oh, you could try this in black and white, but I don't.
No.
It's so muted now.
I love the colors of it a lot. I love the reflections, and it's just somehow very appealing to me. It's one of my.
It's very warm and has a nice, warm color to it. Yeah, very effective.
Yeah, this shop was in Bath in England on a recent trip. So.
Yeah, I even call it spooky. Well, thank you very much, Bob. Thank you for getting those in.
Pleasure.
I really appreciate your contribution. We love your photos. I loved all the photos. I realize that it's running late, and I know that some of us are in different time zones. I would like to quickly take a poll, as we always do. Pick our favorites. The link is on the screens right now, and I'll go through them again. After that, if you'd like to stick with me, I will give you a quick 5-minute rundown of the X-Reel Beam Pro camera. And if you can't stay up that late, I understand. There is plenty of information out there about it now that you know of it. But I'd be happy to show it to you, show you some of the limitations, and show you some of its strengths as well. So for those who can participate in the poll, go ahead and open it up on your computer or tablet or phone. I like to do it on my phone so I can pick while I'm viewing. And if unless anyone needs a moment to prepare, let me go through the slideshow again right now, spending just 2 or 3 seconds on each photo. And I will read the title. Let me get those titles up. Starting with Father and Daughter at Bay Trail Viewing Site by Oleg. Mount Tamalpais and Pretender by Oleg. Photographer Surrounded by His Work by Oleg. White Car Obeys Stop Signs by Oleg. Salzburg Horse Fountain by Steve. Solano Bubbles by Steve. Solano Drummers by Steve. Vienna Statue by Steve. Next is a group from Melinda. Boosh by Melinda. Caroline by Melinda. Stellation by Melinda. And The World is My Patio by Melinda. Here we have Bodega Bay Tide Pool by Matt. Carmet Beach number 68 by Matt. Orinda Classic Car Center by Matt. And Woody by Matt. Dewey versus Truman by Peter. Followed by Trump versus Harris by Peter. And I did go back and forth on those a few times. That was fun. From Bob Bloomberg, we have Chicago Underground. Cyrus by Bob. Finger Gecko by Bob. And Specimens by Bob. Let's spend 60 or 90 seconds making our selections. Does anyone need to view those again? All right.
I don't see all of the pictures in the straw poll. There's only 16 images.
I don't see Bob's on here.
Oh, you're right. Let me. I thought
Yeah,
I
we
had
don't have
added
we don't have Peter's
those.
either.
I've got
Oh,
those.
yeah.
Let's see. Hang on. Yes, you're right. Let me see what happened to those. October 1st. Oh, yeah, they didn't save. Well, let me add those very quickly. Hang on one second. I thought I had added those. I probably added them to the wrong poll or something. This will just take me a second. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. Or I probably added them and just forgot to click the save button or something. While I'm doing this, I'll remind everyone that our next meeting is next week. It's a special. The special is Found Stereo. You have plenty of time to get Found Stereo submissions to me. I'll accept them. I prefer to get them by Sunday night, but realistically, if you get them to me by noon on Monday, I'll be able to get them in the show because I'm stuck in an office all day. Okay, I've updated the poll. If you would refresh your browser or click that link again,
Oh, very good.
they should come up. Do that again myself. Sorry for the confusion.
Are we re-entering picks if we've already made them?
Have you made your 3 selections?
I made 3 selections before people started talking about missing titles.
Let me see if I can change that. Yeah, Tor, go ahead, and if you want to let me delete these. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, Tor. There's only... Well, let me see if I can do this. Let's see. Yeah, unfortunately, Tor, I can't see who voted on what because the votes are
That's fine.
anonymous.
That's
All right.
fine.
Sorry
No
about
worry
that.
about it.
That's my bad, but let's spend another 30, 60 seconds or so making our top 3 selections. And in a few moments, I will share the results. Okay, does anyone need more time? Another 10 seconds? Okay, looks like we're all in here. Oleg, I think your photographer surrounded by his work was our clear leader with 5 votes. Thank you for making Bodega Bay Tide Pool our second. And we have, looks like 3 entries tied for third. Salzburg Horse Fountain, which I misspelled as Fountain. Solano Drummers, also by Steve, and Bob's Specimens. So thank you for participating. Thank you for your excellent stereo photos. Let me share a few other photos, 2D photos with you very quickly. And let me set this up. What I want to show you is a couple things. I want to show some examples of the X-Beam Pro, the X-Real Beam Pro. I'm sorry, I get that wrong. But I first want to address something we talked about earlier, which is the fact that sometimes it's hard to hear each other. And I don't want us to feel like we have to go out and invest a lot of money in microphones. But I do want to emphasize that with microphones, you do have to be close. Mick Jagger's got a real loud voice, but he's singing right into that microphone. And we kind of need to do that too. If your microphone is a couple feet away from you, you're going to sound muffled and you might be cutting out, and we're just not going to be able to hear you as clearly as we'd like to. So consider this for your setup for our next meeting. But that's not really what I wanted to show you. What I really wanted to show you is the X-Real Beam Pro. And these are some photos that I've taken from the web. The X-Real Beam Pro is actually meant to be used with this set of AR glasses, which I've heard very good things about. I don't own them myself. You can buy this device bundled with the glasses, but you can also buy it separately, and that's the $200 price that I had mentioned. I may end up getting the AR glasses myself, but without the glasses, the X-Real Beam Pro is a decent stereo camera. It's basically just a phone-sized Android tablet with 2 lenses stuck on it, and a very basic camera app. But I did want to show these glasses because if you're shopping for it, a lot of the marketing material, a lot of the literature describes it in conjunction with these glasses, and I just wanted to emphasize that they're not actually necessary if you just plan to use this as a stereo camera and export the photos to, Photoshop or Stereo Photo Maker, something on your computer. It takes just side-by-side JPEGs. The resolution's pretty high. I forget off the top of my head what it is, but I think it's like it might be 4K actually for the stills. It also shoots video, HD resolution video. And there is a slot on it where you can upgrade. I think you can add a memory card if you run out of memory. Here's another little picture of it. And here's the package with the box that it comes in and the glasses that I don't have. I will stop sharing my screen and show you my actual device. This is it. I also have a case for it, a rubber case that I bought on Amazon for a couple bucks. And you can imagine, I feel very comfortable taking pictures with this along with everyone else who's taking pictures with their phones. No one is going to question what kind of camera this is if you're out and about with it. I also want to show you the camera app. Well, before I do that, one nice thing about it is that it does have a dedicated shutter button. You might not be able to see them because they're the same color. That's a power button and a volume rocker, and this is a dedicated shutter button. You can also tap the screen to take a photo. And the camera app, as I said, it's kind of bare bones. It has a couple settings. You can take the regular photo setting. I'm going to show you the screen now. This is for a regular 2D photo. But if I switch the mode here to spatial photo, this is what gives me the a 3D photo. And I don't know if you can see this clearly, but it's actually showing me a live side-by-side 3D view of the photo I'm about to take. And I've found, since I can free view these parallel view left on the left photos, I find that I can do my composition in stereo quite easily, quite comfortably. It's not an auto stereo screen like the Fuji W3. Personally, I'm not missing it too much, the auto stereo screen. Another nice feature about this camera is that if I were to rotate it, it'll give me a message. It will tell me that, this isn't going to work. You have to have it rotated horizontally in order to take a 3D photo. As well, if I get too close to my subject, it will give me a message. I don't think I'm seeing it now, that I'm too close to the subject and I need to step back. And that's kind of handy. I kind of sometimes ignore the one about being too close. But it's nice that they're thinking about stereo photos that are comfortable to view when you make them, that aren't all in front of the window.
I have taken some photos where it tells me I'm too close, and then I align them in Stereo Photo Maker, and they're fine. They're probably not okay if they're not aligned because the default alignment on that camera is infinity.
Right. Yes, that's important.
Okay, but you can realign it easily.
Yes. And the ones that I showed tonight and the ones that I'll be showing, I have done that horizontal alignment, that window alignment in Stereo Photo Maker for that reason. But that's all the alignment. I don't have to run auto align with this camera. The alignment is always spot on. It does video as well. I've got it set to video here. And I haven't played too much with video. I've shot some videos, but I haven't edited them. It's my understanding that the format is just basically a double wide MP4, so it can be edited in, I think, pretty much any video editing app that will support the kind of the wider file.
And I did shoot some video. So one of the nice things, I have this camera case that holds, it's a phone holder that's double wide. It's intended to hold two phones. And it perfectly holds my phone and the Beam Pro. So the last few times I was out, I basically put my phone and my Beam Pro in the same case, and then I went out and there was a video I wanted to shoot, and I just pulled out the thing and shot the video, and I will show it at the next Cascade Stereoscopic Club meeting because it was a perfect video for what I needed. And if I hadn't had, I wouldn't have had the W3 with me. And because of that dual case, I had it with me.
That's a great tip. I'm just jamming both my phone and my camera in my pocket, and it is a little bit much. I would benefit from a carrying case, but I am carrying these two devices now, and it works. I would prefer if they were kind of combined into one, if Apple would make a stereo 3D iPhone, but they're not. So that's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. Here's the box for what it's worth. I think we saw that. That's a little bright. $200 on Amazon. It does go on sale occasionally. And if there are any questions, I can answer them to the best of my ability. And as I said, there's lots of chatter about this on the discussion board, so I think we're going to be seeing a lot of stereo photos made by this camera for many years. I suspect it's going to replace the Fuji W3 for that type of more point and shoot stereo photography, street stereo photography. It's a fine device for that.
I've never shot with a lens quite as wide as that. George always says, "Get up close. If you think you're close enough, get closer." How do you feel about that? Has it limited your subject matter choices?
Well, let's see. Oleg, you shoot with wide lenses. You do have one of these now. And I want to pull up an example image that I took. But what do you think, Oleg?
I like wide angle, so yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
I found that here, I'm going to show one that I had shown earlier, and I'll share my screen
one of the
again.
comments that George made is basically the combination of the wide angle and the close lens spacing sort of cancels each other out, so that you're getting the same effective thing that if you had a narrower angle and a wider lens spacing.
I think this photo here, which I have on the screen and on the streams, is a good example of the wide lenses because I was fairly close to the wall here. I was, I don't know, maybe 3 feet away. And there is a lot of distortion. You can see there's some pin cushioning here. The verticals on the left part of the image are angled in one direction, and on the right side of the image are angled in another direction. And I actually brought this one, cut this into 2 pairs, brought this into Photoshop, and played with straightening the geometry of this photo, and actually decided that I kind of liked it better with the kind of the pin cushioning of the wide lenses. I just feel like it's a little more natural to be in this sort of confined space. I wouldn't expect perfect verticals with my positioning in this. So long story short, I'm not having a problem with it. I've experimented, and I'm finding that it's, the photos are very comfortable to view.
So, folks, I need to take off, but everybody have a great rest of the evening, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Herb. And in fact, I think I'm going to wrap it up as well. I appreciate everyone staying late and starting late for the to make time for the debate. I hope to see everyone here next week for our special. As I was saying, you have until Sunday night, really Monday noon, because I don't get home from the office until about 4 o'clock anyway, to submit your found stereo photos. And I encourage you to do that because we haven't received any yet, except from me. So I don't want to be the only one at the meeting looking at my own photos. So I hope that everyone is able to participate. I'll be sending out a reminder email about that next week.
Yeah, I'll definitely have some. I just realized that I could wait another week.
Yeah,
which I'm gonna need.
And I encourage you to wait if you need the time, and I'll do my best to accommodate you if you submit your photos to me after Sunday at midnight. It is my goal to give us as much time to work on our photos. I just need Monday night to kind of get everything set up. So get them to me by Monday afternoon and you'll be fine. Until then, good night, everyone. Thanks for staying up, and I'll see you next week. Adios.
Ta-da.